My general manager texted me to meet him in the conference room. Lisa, after 17 years, your salary is too high for your contribution, he announced bluntly. Your email access is already disabled. I thanked him for the experience and walked out calmly. Next Monday would be fun. Need to see you in the conference room. The text from Derek Wilkins appeared on my phone without any context or greeting. My stomach tightened as I read it, though I couldn't pinpoint why. After 17 years at Haven Mart's flagship store in Sacramento, I'd received countless meeting requests, but something about this one felt different. My name is Lisa Romero. And at 51, I had become something of a fixture at Store 137. I started as a floor associate when my daughter was in elementary school, gradually working my way up to senior operations lead. I trained half the current staff, restructured our inventory systems to reduce shrinkage by 18%, and helped our location consistently rank in the top 5 for the Western region. I locked my office and walked toward the conference room, nodding at Jamie in electronics, who was helping an elderly customer choose a tablet. He gave me a thumbs up. We'd implemented a new training protocol last month that had boosted his department's customer satisfaction scores. The conference room door was closed, which was unusual for our open-door culture. When I entered, Derek was standing near the window, his arms crossed. Beside him sat Patricia from Human Resources, her expression carefully neutral. A folder lay on the table between them. "Take a seat, Lisa," Derek said without looking at me. At 36, he'd been our general manager for just under 2 years, brought in as part of the company's Fresh Perspective initiative. I sat down, folding my hands in my lap. "Is everything okay?" Derek finally turned toward me, his face a mask of corporate detachment. "After reviewing our organizational structure, we've determined that your position is no longer aligned with our business needs." Patricia slid the folder toward me. "Your salary is too high for your contribution. We're letting you go." I blinked, trying to process the words. "I don't understand. My last performance review was exemplary." "The decision has been made," Derek said flatly. "Your email access has already been revoked. Patricia will walk you through the exit paperwork." The conference room suddenly felt too small, too warm. 17 years of dedication, of coming in early and staying late, of missing family dinners to handle inventory crises reduced to a dismissive conversation that lasted less than 5 minutes. Yet as I looked at Derek's face, not quite meeting my eyes, his fingers tapping nervously against his arm, I felt an unexpected calm settle over me. There was something he didn't know, something that transformed this moment from tragedy to irony. I simply smiled, signed the exit form Patricia pushed toward me, and said, "Thank you for the experience." Then I walked out, leaving Derek visibly relieved that I hadn't caused a scene. He had no idea what Monday would bring. 2 weeks earlier, I had received an email from Vanessa Torres, the Vice President of Regional Operations. "We'd like to discuss your future with Haven Mart," it read. I assumed it was about the inventory management system I developed, which had been implemented in several stores across the state. When I arrived at the corporate headquarters in San Francisco, I was surprised to find not just Vanessa, but also Jeremy Phillips, the Chief Operations Officer, waiting for me. "Lisa," Vanessa began, "we've been watching your work for some time. The efficiency initiatives you've spearheaded at store number 137 have caught our attention." Jeremy nodded. "Particularly impressive is how you've managed to train and retain staff in an industry known for high turnover. Your location has the lowest attrition rate in the entire Western Division." I'd never thought of my work as particularly remarkable. I simply did what seemed logical: treat people with respect, identify inefficiencies, and implement practical solutions. "We're restructuring our regional leadership," Vanessa continued. "And we need someone who understands both the operational and human elements of our business. Someone who can transform our other locations the way you've helped transform store number 137. We'd like to offer you the position of regional director," Jeremy said, sliding a folder across the table. "You would oversee all 15 locations in Northern California, including Sacramento." I opened the folder, scanning the job description and the salary figure, nearly double what I was currently making. My hand trembled slightly as I flipped through the pages. "This would mean supervising all current general managers in the region," Vanessa added, "including Derek Wilkins." I looked up, meeting her eyes. There was a knowing look there, an unspoken acknowledgement. Derek's reputation for taking credit for others' work and pushing out experienced staff had not gone unnoticed. "We've seen how he operates," Jeremy said quietly, "and we've seen how you operate. The contrast is illuminating." I thought about my team at store number 137, how we'd weathered inventory crises, holiday rushes, and the chaos of the pandemic together. I thought about the young associates I'd mentored who now held management positions throughout the company. "When would you need an answer?" I asked. "Take the weekend," Vanessa replied. "But we'd like you to start as soon as possible. The regional office is here in San Francisco, but you'd be traveling to all locations regularly. I drove back to Sacramento that evening, the offer letter tucked safely in my bag, a mixture of pride and vindication warming my chest. After 17 years of quietly driving results while others took the spotlight, my work had finally been recognized by the people who mattered. I called my daughter that night and told her about the offer. "Take it, Mom," she said immediately. "It's about time." The following Monday, I accepted the regional director position, asking for a 2-week transition period to wrap up projects at Store Burger 137. Vanessa agreed, emphasizing the confidential nature of the appointment until the official announcement. "We'll announce it company-wide next Friday," she said. "Until then, proceed as normal." So I did. I continued my daily routines, meeting with department heads, addressing inventory discrepancies, and mentoring newer team members. I even helped Derek prepare for his quarterly presentation to the board, staying late to ensure his numbers were accurate and his proposals solid. During this time, I noticed Derek watching me with increasing suspicion. Twice, I caught him reviewing printouts of my email correspondence with vendors. Once, he questioned Julia from accounts about purchase orders I'd approved. "He's looking for something to use against you," Julia whispered during our lunch break. "He's been asking about expense reports, overtime approvals, anything he could flag as problematic." I wasn't surprised. Derek had systematically removed most of the senior staff who had been at store number 137 before his arrival. Thomas from warehouse operations was reorganized out after 22 years. Catherine from customer service was placed on a performance improvement plan so demanding that she resigned after 3 decades with the company. I was the last of the old guard, and my salary, increased through years of modest raises and promotions, was undoubtedly a tempting target for someone looking to cut costs and demonstrate bold leadership to corporate. What Derek didn't realize was that corporate was watching him, not me. On Wednesday, I received an embossed envelope containing my official offer letter, benefits package, and a welcome note signed by the executive team. I would start the following Monday. That same day, I noticed Derek in a lengthy closed-door meeting with Patricia from Human Resources. They emerged looking grim but determined. By Thursday morning, the conference room had been reserved for a personnel discussion at 2 p.m., the same time Derek texted me to meet him there. As I cleaned out my desk after the termination meeting, I felt an odd sense of peace. For years, I had poured my heart into this store, into the people who worked here. I had missed dance recitals, declined vacations, and worked holidays to ensure everything ran smoothly. And while being dismissed so callously stung, I knew that my journey with Haven Mart wasn't ending. It was expanding. I handed my keys to Patricia, who couldn't quite meet my eyes. "Is there anything you'd like to say for the record?" she asked, her voice professional but strained. I thought about telling her then, about the offer letter sitting in my car, about the corporate apartment in San Francisco I had just signed a lease for, about how on Monday I would step into a role that would make Derek answerable to me. But instead, I simply smiled. "No," I said. "I think everything will become clear very soon." I walked out of store number 137 not as a terminated employee, but as its future regional director. Derek just didn't know it yet. Friday morning, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in years. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, I didn't have to rush to Haven Mart to handle the early shipments or prepare for weekend crowds. I savored a second cup of coffee on my porch, watching the Sacramento sunrise paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. My phone buzzed with messages from coworkers who'd heard about my termination. "This is bull," texted Jamie from electronics. "The store won't function without you." "Derek's making a huge mistake," wrote Bethany from customer service. "We're all in shock." I responded with gratitude, but offered no details about what was coming. The official announcement would go out that afternoon, and I didn't want to undermine corporate's communication plan. At noon, my daughter Gabriella called. "Mom, I can't believe they fired you, after everything you've done for that place." "It's okay, sweetheart," I assured her. "Everything happens for a reason." "Well, I hope that reason involves Derek getting what he deserves," she said fiercely. "Remember when he didn't approve your time off for my graduate school ceremony? Or when he took credit for your inventory system at the regional meeting?" I did remember, but those slights seemed small now, knowing what was coming. "Let's not focus on the negative," I said. "How about we celebrate this weekend? I start a new job on Monday." "Already? That's fantastic. Where?" "Still with Haven Mart, actually, but in a different capacity." Before I could elaborate, my phone beeped with an incoming call from Vanessa Torres. I promised Gabriella details later and switched over. "Lisa," Vanessa said, her voice warm but serious, "we just issued the company-wide announcement about your appointment. I wanted to give you a heads up that it's causing quite a stir at store number 137. I felt a flutter of anticipation. I imagine it would. Derek Wilkins called our office almost immediately, claiming there must be some mistake. When our executive assistant confirmed the appointment, Well, let's just say he wasn't pleased. I could picture Derek's face, the gradual transformation from confusion to disbelief to horrified realization. The same man who had dismissed me so coldly just yesterday was now learning that I would be his direct supervisor starting Monday. Is there anything I need to do? I asked. Not at all. We've instructed him to prepare a complete store overview for your arrival on Monday morning. All other general managers in the region have also been notified and are scheduling welcome meetings with you. After hanging up, I checked my personal email. Sure enough, there was a message from corporate communications with the subject line, Leadership Announcement. Lisa Romero appointed Regional Director, Northern California. Attached was the official release that had gone out to all employees. Haven Mart is pleased to announce the appointment of Lisa Romero as Regional Director for Northern California, effective Monday. Lisa brings 17 years of exemplary service and operational expertise to this role, having most recently served as Senior Operations Lead at our flagship Sacramento location. In her new position, Lisa will oversee all 15 stores in the Northern California region, working directly with general managers to implement best practices and drive performance excellence. Within minutes, my phone exploded with messages from current and former colleagues. Most were congratulatory, but a few contained snippets of information about the chaos unfolding at store number 137. Derek locked himself in his office after the announcement, Julia wrote. Patricia from HR is outside looking panic-stricken. Another text from Jamie simply read, Justice. I put my phone aside and began packing for my weekend trip to San Francisco. I had an apartment to furnish and a new wardrobe to purchase before Monday. Despite 17 years of dedicated service, I had never owned a tailored blazer or proper business attire. My work had always been hands-on, practical, often physical. That was about to change. Saturday morning, I drove to San Francisco. The corporate apartment was small but modern, located in a high-rise downtown with a view of the bay. I spent the day purchasing essentials, professional clothing, office supplies, kitchenware for the sparse apartment. At a boutique in Union Square, a stylish saleswoman named Carolyn helped me select a wardrobe befitting my new position. Regional Director, she repeated when I told her my title. That calls for something powerful but approachable. She assembled a collection of tailored blazers, sleek dresses, and classic separates in rich saturated colors. As I tried on a deep burgundy blazer, Caroline adjusted the shoulders and nodded approvingly. This is perfect. You look like someone who makes decisions that matter. I studied my reflection, barely recognizing the confident executive staring back at me. For years, my uniform had been khaki pants and a Haven Mart polo, hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, minimal makeup that would survive 12-hour shifts. I'll take it, I said, and the navy and charcoal ones as well. By evening, I had transformed both the apartment and myself. I sat at the small dining table reviewing the regional performance reports Vanessa had sent over. Store number 137, my former home, was profitable but showing concerning trends, increasing employee turnover, declining customer satisfaction scores, and shrinkage numbers that had begun to creep up after years of steady decline. These were clear indicators of Derek's leadership style. Pressure without support, expectations without resources, demands without recognition. My phone rang. A Sacramento number I didn't recognize. Lisa Romero, I answered. Lisa, it's Patricia Jenkins from Human Resources at Store 137. Her voice was strained, professional composure barely masking panic. Hello, Patricia. What can I do for you? I kept my tone neutral, remembering her sitting silently beside Derek as he terminated my employment. I wanted to apologize for Thursday's meeting. I had no idea about your promotion. None of us did. I understand. You were doing your job. Yes. But she paused. If I had known that I was about to become regional director, would that have changed how the termination was handled? The question wasn't accusatory, merely pragmatic. Her silence was answer enough. Monday will be a fresh start, I said finally. I'm looking forward to working with you in my new capacity. Of course, she replied quickly. Derek has called an emergency leadership meeting for Sunday to prepare for your arrival. He's quite concerned about making a good impression. I smiled to myself, imagining Derek frantically attempting to rewrite the narrative of our professional relationship, coaching the team on what to say and what to hide. There's no need for special preparation, I assured her. I know store number 137 better than anyone. My goal isn't to catch people off guard, but to help every location succeed. After hanging up, I received a text from another unknown number. This is Derek Wilkins. Can we meet before Monday to discuss the transition? I considered my response carefully. Part of me wanted to ignore the message, to let him stew in anxiety until our official meeting, but that wasn't the leader I intended to be. Good evening, Derek, I typed. All general managers will have one-on-one meetings with me during my first week. I've reserved Monday 9 a.m. for store number 137 as noted in the calendar invitation from Regional Operations. Please prepare the quarterly performance overview, staffing assessments, and loss prevention reports. See you then. Professional. Clear. Direct. No trace of resentment or triumph despite the sweet vindication coursing through me. I put my phone away and returned to the reports. Success would be my revenge. Not just personal success, but creating an environment where every employee had the opportunity to thrive, something Derek had systematically dismantled during his tenure. Monday would be about more than just seeing Derek's face when I walked in as his new boss. It would be about beginning the process of rebuilding what he had broken. Sunday evening, I received a call from Vanessa. "How are you feeling about tomorrow?" she asked. "Prepared," I answered honestly. "I've reviewed all the regional data and identified key areas for improvement at each location." "That's why we hired you," she said with approval. "But I'm more curious about how you're feeling about store number 137 specifically, about facing Derek." I considered the question. Throughout the weekend, colleagues had been feeding me information about the frantic atmosphere at the store. Derek calling in team leads for emergency meetings, ordering a deep clean of the facility, even attempting to retroactively document decisions that had led to my termination. "I'm not approaching tomorrow as personal," I said finally. "Derek made business decisions he thought were in his best interest. Now I'll make business decisions in the best interest of Haven Mart and its employees." "Professionally answered," Vanessa noted. "But off the record, it must feel pretty satisfying." I allowed myself a small smile. I won't deny there's a certain poetic justice to the situation. After we hung up, I laid out my outfit for the morning: the burgundy blazer, a cream silk blouse, tailored black pants, and leather heels that added 2 inches to my height. Professional armor for a pivotal day. My phone buzzed with a text from Gabriella. "Knock them dead tomorrow, Mom. So proud of you." I slept soundly that night, more at peace than I had been in years. Monday morning arrived with fog hanging over San Francisco Bay. I dressed carefully, applied subtle makeup, and styled my hair in a sleek bob rather than my usual practical ponytail. The woman in the mirror looked confident, authoritative, ready to lead. The drive to Sacramento took longer than expected due to traffic, but I still arrived at store number 137 10 minutes before our scheduled meeting. I parked in the visitor section rather than my old spot, gathering my leather portfolio and taking a deep breath before exiting the car. As I walked toward the entrance, I noticed several employees watching through the windows, some whispering to each other, others outright staring. Word of my arrival had clearly spread. Jamie was stationed by the door, his eyes widening as he took in my transformation. "Wow, Lisa. Miss Romero. You look amazing." "Thank you, Jamie. How are things inside?" He grinned. "Tense. Derek's been in the conference room for an hour already. Patricia's stress-eating donuts in the break room." I nodded, maintaining my professional composure despite the amusement bubbling inside me. "I'll head straight there then." The store looked different somehow, not physically changed, but altered by my new perspective. For 17 years, this had been my world, my responsibility. Now it was just one of 15 locations under my supervision. As I walked through the main floor, employees stopped what they were doing to watch. Some nodded respectfully. Others gave subtle thumbs-up signs or knowing smiles. I acknowledged them with professional nods, maintaining the dignified demeanor my position required. When I reached the conference room, I paused outside the door, gathering myself for what was to come. Through the glass panel, I could see Derek sitting alone at the table, surrounded by binders and spreadsheets, checking his watch nervously. I knocked once and entered without waiting for a response. "Good morning, Derek," I said, my voice steady and authoritative. He stood abruptly, his face draining of color as he took in my appearance, no longer his subordinate in a company polo, but his superior in executive attire. "Lisa," he stammered, "thank you for coming." "That's Regional Director Romero," I corrected gently, extending my hand. "Shall we begin?" The meeting began with Derek attempting to control the narrative. He had prepared an elaborate presentation highlighting store achievements, many of which were initiatives I had personally developed before my termination. "Under my leadership," he began, clicking through a slide showing improved inventory metrics, "store number 137 has implemented revolutionary tracking systems that have reduced shrinkage by 18%. I allowed him to continue, noting how he carefully avoided mentioning my contributions. When he finished the overview, I opened my portfolio and removed a single sheet of paper. "Thank you for that presentation," I said evenly. "Now I'd like to discuss the termination of a senior operations lead with 17 years of experience executed without corporate approval or proper documentation." Derek's confident facade cracked. "I can explain." "I'm sure you can," I interrupted, still calm. "But first, I'd like you to explain these numbers." I pushed a report across the table. turnover rates at store number 137 under his management, showing a dramatic increase in departures among experienced staff. "We've been restructuring," he said weakly. "Restructuring typically doesn't result in losing your most knowledgeable employees right before holiday season." I removed another document. "Or in customer satisfaction scores dropping 15 points in 18 months. Derek's eyes darted to the door as if considering escape. "Let me be direct," I continued. "Avonmart values leadership that builds rather than dismantles, that nurtures talent rather than discarding it when it becomes inconvenient or threatens one's authority." I closed my portfolio. "You have two choices, Derek. You can submit your resignation, effective immediately, with standard severance, or you can commit to a comprehensive performance improvement plan under my direct supervision with weekly evaluations and clear benchmarks for progress." The irony wasn't lost on either of us. I was offering him the same ultimatum often used to push out experienced employees. Derek swallowed hard. "I'd like to explore the improvement plan option." I nodded, revealing nothing of the satisfaction I felt. "Then we have a lot of work to do. Let's begin with how you plan to rebuild the team you've systematically dismantled." Over the next month, I divided my time between all 15 Northern California locations, but paid special attention to store number 137. Derek, now under intense scrutiny, struggled to adapt to a leadership style that valued transparency and collaboration over authority and control. During our weekly one-on-one meetings, I addressed every aspect of his management approach. "Your team doesn't trust you," I told him candidly. "Trust is earned through consistency, honesty, and genuine support, not fear." Derek nodded stiffly, unable to meet my eyes. "I understand. Do you? Because understanding requires empathy, Derek. It means recognizing that every associate, regardless of their position, contributes value to this organization." I implemented changes that directly countered his previous approaches. We rehired Thomas from warehouse operations, bringing back his 22 years of expertise. Catherine from customer service returned as a trainer for new associates. Most importantly, I established anonymous feedback channels so staff could report concerns without fear of retaliation. Throughout this process, I maintained absolute professionalism. I never mentioned our previous history, never alluded to his role in my termination, never allowed personal satisfaction to influence business decisions. By the 6th week, Derek requested another private meeting. "I'd like to tender my resignation," he said, sliding an envelope across the desk. "I've been offered a position with another company." I accepted the envelope without opening it. "I wish you success in your new role." "That's it?" he asked, seeming almost disappointed by my measured response. "Did you expect something more dramatic?" I asked, allowing myself the smallest smile. He shook his head, a flush creeping up his neck. "No, I just thank you for the opportunity to improve, even if I didn't ultimately succeed. Growth isn't linear, Derek. Perhaps this experience will inform your approach to leadership in the future." As he left my office, his shoulders slumped in defeat. I felt no triumph, only the quiet satisfaction of a system rebalancing itself. The next day, I recommended Jamie from electronics for the interim general manager position. His empathetic leadership style and operational knowledge made him the perfect candidate to heal the fractured culture Derek had created. "Are you sure I'm ready?" Jamie asked when I presented the opportunity. "I've been watching you for years," I told him. "You lead by example, listen before deciding, and put people before profits while still delivering results. That's exactly what store number 137 needs right now." 2 months into my role as regional director, all 15 Northern California locations showed improvements in key metrics. But the most satisfying transformation was at store Darwa 137, where employee morale had rebounded dramatically, taking customer satisfaction scores along with it. I never needed Derek to admit he was wrong. The results spoke for themselves. As I sat in my office overlooking San Francisco Bay, I reflected on the journey that had brought me here. 17 years of dedication, 1 afternoon of dismissal, and now a position where I could ensure others wouldn't face the same treatment. The best revenge wasn't seeing Derek's face when I walked in as his boss. It was creating an environment where talent was nurtured, experience was valued, and leadership meant service rather than power. That was a victory worth savoring.